weight gotta go. And basically just coming to you with a few pointers. Post vertical sleeve gastrectomy. I am now 9 weeks post-op. Yeah, about 9. I had surgery on August 12th, 2019. Currently, I am down 56 pounds since surgery. These are just a couple pointers, things that are good to know, some things I wish I had maybe understood a little better going into surgery. So, thing number one, first and foremost, make sure you are making this decision for yourself because you want to, not because you've had any sort of influence. Because if you are making it for someone else or based on the influence of someone else, then that person can also discourage you, or that thing can discourage you, or you may not be where you need to be mentally to be able to be okay and get through this process. There were people telling me all sorts of things like, oh, you don't need to do it, you're not that big. Several people made remarks about how I would look sick afterwards and everything else, and about how my skin would be or whatever. And just my thought on that is, if these same people have never voiced that level of concern for your obesity and what that might be doing, to your body and to your life, then it's really not valid for them to voice concern about what you've decided to do to try to take control of your life and your weight and live a healthier lifestyle with less boundaries. So just make sure you're comfortable in it, and you don't have to justify it to anyone. You just have to be okay with it and know that you are doing it for yourself because this is the time and you're ready. Next thing I would say is make sure you ask any questions you feel the need to ask with your doctor. Make sure you're comfortable with your doctor. Most programs are going to be somewhere between maybe 3 to 12 months on average. Mine was 6 months. But I had an amazing doctor that had an amazing staff, and anytime I had a question about anything, they were very responsive. They basically walk you through the process of dealing with the insurance company and everything, and making sure you're really on track to get things done. So just make sure you're asking questions and you don't feel like you're going into something like this blind. I know for me, it was a big deal. I had never had surgery, never been hospitalized, and I had a lot of questions about what to expect before, what to expect after, what would anesthesia be like, and everything else. So make sure you're asking questions. Don't be bashful. Don't feel like, you're being difficult. It is your life and it's your body, and you have every right to understand what's going on. Next, adding on to that, I would say that your doctor's office is going to give you a pre-op diet. The time frame on it varies. Some people may be on pre-op for a month. Some people may be on a pre-op diet for 2 weeks or so. But whatever it is, please stick to it. It's for your best interest, especially when you get to the part where you're on a liquid diet. So my doctor's office was not super strict about stuff. The only rule pretty much was just don't gain any more weight than where you were when you started. But I had times I went in there and my weight fluctuated, and I may be down 10 pounds at this appointment, but the next appointment I'm up for. I was having a lot of issues with retaining fluid and my ankle swelling and everything like that. But they never chastised me about it or anything. The main goal was don't go higher than you were when you started, and that's probably an insurance requirement that I had. Everyone's requirements are different, so make sure you are clear on what those expectations are. Some need you to have lost a certain percent of your body weight before they'll approve surgery. In some programs, you can never gain a single pound or else you have to start over. So just make sure you're clear on that. Stick to whatever diet you're given. It's really, really, really important to stick to that liquid diet that they're going to give you probably in the 2 to 7 days before surgery. If they cut you open, they get in there and it seems like food is in your stomach, surgery stops. It is a risk to you to have them cut your stomach open and food contents fall into your open abdomen, and then you are dealing with possible sepsis and infection because food is now contaminated your entire interior, and they have to try to deal with getting it out. So most surgeons, if they go in, and it's the first thing they'll do, they'll look to see if it looks like food is there. If it's there, they're stopping, and then you have to be rescheduled for another day. And depending on which insurance you have, you may be completely denied. They may not want to pay again for the process of getting you ready and pre-op and anesthesia and everything else. So just be mindful of it. It's gonna suck, but you can do it. You can get through it. It's only a couple days out of your whole life where you won't be able to have solid food. Next thing I would say is, I can't say don't be afraid of anesthesia, right? Because I think it's natural for any of us to have concern or fear of the unknown. But here's what I can tell you. I was very worried about it. And all of my worry was for nothing. They came to get me from pre-op. And the last thing I remember is them walking in and saying hello to me and getting a blood pressure. After that, I woke up and I was in a room with my friends and family, and I was like, when are they going to do my surgery? And it was like, your surgery is done already. And I looked down and I had 5 bandages on my stomach from where they had made the incisions. I had absolutely no pain afterwards. In regards to the surgical sites, like there was minimal discomfort, I would say, but I never felt like I was in this terrible amount of pain and screaming out for pain meds or calling a nurse or anything like that. They did a good job of managing the pain. And it was minimal, to be honest. And you won't remember it. You won't remember a thing, which, I'll add on to one of the things I dealt with for, quite a while after surgery, and I feel like I'm still getting better, is I feel like I maybe kind of had some memory issues and some issues with focusing on things after surgery. And apparently that is this side effect that is potentially there when someone gets anesthesia. For most people, it wears off in a couple of days or weeks or months. But the risk is there. And for me, I had just started classes like 2 weeks after surgery. So I found myself having to reread things a lot and write a lot of stuff down just to make sure I comprehended it, because I felt like my comprehension and my ability to focus on material wasn't where it should be, and where it's always been for my life. And that kind of, lines up with what I'm going to say next. If you are able to, if your job provides the benefits, stay on FMLA for as long as possible. Don't try to rush back and be the hero and prove that surgery didn't keep you down or whatever. If you can take 6 weeks off, and if your doctor will approve it, then take that 6 weeks. You're going to need it. I know that they say some people with office jobs can go back to work within a week or two, and you may be able to physically. I couldn't imagine it, but you might be able to physically, but you will not be an asset really to anybody because of the difficulty, like I said, with focusing that you may have. Your energy level is going to be so low around this point. Week 1 and 2, you're not consuming many calories at all. Some people are still on a liquid only diet at that point. My doctor's office did allow me to switch back over to soft food after 7 days from the date of surgery. But even with that, the things that I was getting in little pieces of chicken boiled until probably all nutritional value was gone, it just wasn't enough to sustain me and for me to be able to function at the level I would normally function at to do my job. So take that time, let your body heal, let your mind heal, because you're adjusting and getting used to this new lifestyle. You also will probably still be experiencing the gas pains and everything, and surgical site pain a week after surgery. And so when I say that there will be surgical site pain, is not horrible. I never took the pain meds once I came home. I described it as more discomfort. You were uncomfortable. You just been stabbed in your stomach a couple of times, right? I never took the pain medicine, but I was uncomfortable for about 2 to 3 weeks, especially the first 2 weeks. Like getting up hurt, and I had to take my time, and people would help me stand up a lot. The gas pains that you will get, especially that first week, are a lot. They are shooting pains. And Lord, if I imagine what full-blown labor feels like, that's it. That's it. You're sitting there and then you just feel something shoot across your stomach in one direction and go back the other way, and then it feels like it tightens up. And these gas pains are going to be there because what happens when you have surgery is they make the incisions, but then they actually blow your stomach up to help give them space to work. And there is no way for that gas to escape on its own, because it's not in your intestinal tract, it's not in your bowels, and it's loose in the free space in your abdomen. The only way really to get rid of it is by walking. And you have to walk whenever you can. It's going to hurt. Even if you can only go a few steps, do a couple laps around your bedroom or your house, do whatever you need to do. I would not recommend stairs in the early weeks, just because your strength's not there and you have a risk of falling. I had an incident where I was attempting to go outside and walk without somebody with me, knowing I should have had someone, and I tripped and ended up, and I still have a scar now on my ankle, tripping into the flower bed over these concrete brick things we have. So take the help that's there. Walk every chance you get, and just make sure you're being safe. If you still need help, just say it. You know, I'm sure the majority of us have friends and family that are more than willing to help. Speaking of, I was really blessed. For the entire first week, I was never alone. Like, my friends and family had it worked out, and it's like there was a constant rotation of someone being present with me, and I needed that help. If people offer it to you, please accept it. Don't be prideful. You don't have a point to prove that, you know, you're strong or whatever. You're going to need this help. You will probably need help getting up. Even things as simple as showering and everything may require assistance. So just take it. The next thing I want to say is make sure you're hydrating yourself in those days after surgery. So when they release you from the hospital, they just need to make sure you're able to keep water down, right? But it is up to you once you get home to continue drinking the water. In the hospital, the nurse and stuff will make sure you drink. But once you get home, there's nobody to make you do it really, unless your family makes you, and it hurts. It hurts to swallow. It hurts to swallow water. It hurts to swallow anything. So it's very easy to not drink anything and just sleep. But you have to make sure you drink. Several people I know, one girl that had surgery on the same date as me, ended up back in the hospital for dehydration. I experienced dehydration and had to end up getting an IV with some fluids, because, I mean, it was to the point where my heart rate was starting to slow down and all kind of stuff. My blood pressure was all over the place, and I had nothing left in my tank. I had maybe been surviving off 2 sips of water for 4 or 5 days at this point, when I realized I had to reach out and get help because everything wasn't okay, and I knew it wasn't okay. So just, even if you keep that bottle of water with you and you just taking small sips all day long, they're going to give you this goal that's going to feel impossible to hit, you know, at first, of 60 ounces of water or something like that. At first, they know you can't hit it for real in the beginning, especially that first week, but you can get close if you're constantly sipping. Your protein drinks that they're going to give you also count towards your fluid balance. So just make sure you're doing that and walking. Speaking of protein drinks, so this is the brand that I got from my doctor, right? Everyone kind of gets something different. I had a really hard time with the protein shakes. I was lucky. We were given a kit that contained just about every flavor available. Chocolate wasn't for me. None of the flavors were for me, really. The only one I found that I tolerated well was strawberry. So I went ahead and ordered the actual bigger bag of strawberry to help get me through it, because I tried the vanilla. That was a no-go. They had banana. I don't eat bananas. The chocolate, everything. Your taste buds will be different too. I kept saying everything tasted like poison was in it, which we know isn't the case. There is not poison in this stuff that they're giving us, but everything tasted like poison was in it to me. Don't ask me how I know how poison tastes, okay? Just know it tastes like poison was in it. But if you can get these shakes down, it will definitely be to your benefit. They have so much protein in them. They count towards your fluid intake for the day too. And getting that protein in is going to be very, very, very important. With that being said too, after about 7 days, they'll probably tell you go ahead and start taking your vitamins. I was given these, made by the same company. The chewables, these are intense for me. I have a major complex about smells and taste and textures. So it was hard for me to get these down, and you have to eat 2 of them a day. And so I have a couple still left, maybe. But after 30 days, I was able to, at my 6-week dietitian appointment, she told me I was cleared to switch over to capsules. Those are chewables. So now I am taking these capsules. Is 1 capsule a day. It contains iron and it goes down pretty easy. So I'm much happier about that. You will also have calcium that you have to take post-surgery. I started out with some calcium chews that were included in my kit that I was given. And now, since I have a little more freedom, I switched over to this fruit punch flavored one. It tastes a little gritty, but it gets the job done. And you will probably have to take 2 or 3 of those per day. And just plan on being on a vitamin regimen for at least a year or 2, because you really just can't eat enough and get in enough as far as caloric intake to meet all of the nutritional needs of your body. There was something else I was going to say about making sure you take your vitamins. Drinking water. Drinking water will be everything. You need to try to start getting fiber as soon as possible, because constipation is a real thing. And I know it's something that's kind of taboo to talk about, I guess. But I'm fortunate that I'm in a group that's pretty comfortable talking about everything. So I can just be honest, and I don't want anyone to be surprised if you are not drinking enough water, if you're not getting enough fiber. And remember, you're already going to have pretty limited bowel movements because you're just not putting that much food into your system. But there is nothing worse than when you have that serious episode of constipation. It makes you feel like you are going to have to go to the emergency room. You might end up in the bathroom for hours. And there's nothing pleasant about it, and it's easy to sneak up on you. You may not even realize it's been 5 or 7 days since I had a bowel movement, or you may attribute it to the fact that you're not eating much, but something should still be coming out. But normally, if you are not drinking enough water, then it's not going to happen. Miralax is the laxative that my doctor's office recommended because it's pretty gentle. It can take somewhere between 1 to 3 days to work. It's flavorless. You're mixing it with water, but it will work eventually. For some people, if it's severe enough, they may end up having to have enemas or even go to the emergency room. But before it gets to that point, just try to drink your water. Try, once you are back on food, try to make sure you're getting your vegetables so that you are getting some form of fiber. Let me see what else. After surgery, I had a wedge pillow one of my friends got, and it was amazing because I could not really lay flat that first week and a half or 2 weeks that out. It made me so uncomfortable, and I almost felt like I kind of had to sleep sitting up a little bit because I was in the beginning kind of showing what I felt like was touches of acid reflux. But it's just so much has happened to your stomach at that point, and you're still almost making the same amount of stomach acid, and it has to have somewhere to go. So I couldn't lay flat at all. Now I can. Now that I'm in my ninth week, yeah, something like that. August 12th was the date. But having that wedge pillow, I felt like was a lifesaver. What else? I wish I had known, and I'm only 9 weeks out, so I don't have this massive amount of information, but I can tell you, be prepared to go through a lot of clothes. For me, I've been fortunate. I have not had to buy much. Anything I bought was because I wanted to, because I had so many clothes I honestly had outgrown and hadn't thrown away yet. So now it's like, as I'm losing weight, I'm reverting and getting back to being able to fit clothes I haven't been able to fit in 4 or 5 years. So just kind of be prepared for it. Don't stress yourself about buying a bunch of clothes during this phase, because you may get to wear it 2-3 times and then it'll be too big. So just embrace it. Wear what you have. Definitely, I wouldn't encourage anyone to look sloppy or have clothes that are hanging off, but as long as they still fit reasonably, or you get creative. There are people on Pinterest and YouTube and Instagram and everywhere else that have lost a bunch of weight, and they show how they've turned shirts